I got some hot takes for you today because after watching the new John Wick, whoo-wee, a ton of things to cover. So let's jump into the review of John Wick Chapter 4. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film John Wick Chapter 4, coming to theaters March 24th. This was fantastic. Listen, John Wicks just keep getting better and better, and this is truly the best of this franchise right now. You have got to check out John Wick Chapter 4. And I love 3, and obviously before that I love 2. And at this point now, you just keep thinking, like, when it comes to action and martial arts films or just the John Wick franchise, how could they do better? And they just continue to elevate each and every film. And whether this is going to be the last film or not, which I know is kind of in question right now, I hope we get a lot more. This is really, really good. I hope we get about 10 of them, just like the Fast franchise, to be honest. But a couple of things. Again, this is coming out March 24th. Obviously, I got to check this out early, as you see by the review. And I remember a while ago, there was a rumor that Keanu Reeves wanted to drop this at the same time he was releasing The Matrix. And that probably wouldn't have been a good look for The Matrix, because this is light years better than that movie. And honestly, for my first hot take, I think the John Wick franchise may be the best action franchise of all time. It's really that good. And I think that when you see some of the sequences, some of the choreography, the cinematography, just some of the moments in this film, I think you're going to feel the same. There's a lot to be high on with this film. But yeah, you know, just like the previous film, this film took all of that and just did it better. And it just continues to get better and better. And then when you add names like Donnie Yen in the film, you start to think like, okay, Scott Adkins, like, oh my God, okay, Bill Skarsgård, come on now. And like the fact that all of these actors I just named plus more just comes in and just really takes the film to the next level. And then one of my favorite actors who I did not even know was in this film, and Shamier Anderson, comes in and really shakes things up. What a interesting character Shamier Anderson character in Mr. Nobody is in this film. He has this dog, which is definitely one of the stars of the film. He calls the dog in like almost like if you play Call of Duty, when you have that attack dog. Yeah, it's just like that. But yeah, Mr. Nobody, played by Shamier Anderson, definitely was a highlight of this film. But talking about the make of this film, the sound is amazing. And I think when you talk about the cinematography, because we go from New York, we go to Japan, we go to Paris, and when you talk about Japan, there's a certain aesthetic you look for, and they nailed it. The neon lights, the low light shots, these kind of mirroring shots. And then you go to Paris and you have this whole new aesthetic as well too. I think from each city, they first of all, I thought they brought the identity of these cities to life. But like, it just truly showed you how good the cinematography was just on the sets alone. Even the backgrounds were just eye candy the entire time, just completely stunning. And then when it came down to the action, which I will come all the way back to the action, still sticking on the cinematography here, the way how they shot some of these action sequences. There's a car scene in Paris that is fantastic. A lot of there's a scene in the middle of the film where they're like in a club, and just the rain, the water that's falling in the club, and how they're kind of shooting around that. There's one of my favorite sequences in this film where he's in a Japanese little museum or exhibit, and how they're kind of shooting that as well too. It's just like they just kept trying different techniques, and it just all worked. And they were just one after another were just good, great, fantastic. How are they gonna top this? Epic. Like, they were just really that good. So each scene was just so beautiful, so much to watch, so much to appreciate. I think honestly, if you took all the actors out and they just showed just the backgrounds of each sequence, I think that is worth the watch alone there. But the sound instantly, within 3 seconds of the film, the sound made an impact. And, you know, while the score was fantastic, even when there wasn't any music, the sound mixing really, really kept you invested. But anyway, in case you don't know what's happening in the 4th film of this franchise now, is after John had been excommunicated, everyone's after him still. There's no change there. And that takes everybody from New York to Japan to Paris. Now the table has sent Alexander Skarsgård character in the Marquis to go after him by any means necessary. And he absolutely uses all of his resources because he wants to kill John Wick. And what a plaque on a mantle that would be, to be the person to kill John Wick. And listen, his character is sadistic. You know, he does whatever he can in order to get John, you know, and he definitely goes really below the belt in order to do so. And then with that too, Winston, he loses the hotel, and so now things move to Japan, and we see the operation of the mirroring operation in Japan and what he was running with the Intercontinental in New York. So with that, you know, John doesn't have a home. He has very few friends left, and he's just on a run trying to figure out a way to be able to be reinstated and to have some type of normalcy to his life. Otherwise, his life is just constantly on the run. So that's the adventure in this as well. But listen, the fight choreography here. I mentioned Scott Adkins. I mentioned Donnie Yen. And before John Wick even has a fight with either of them, there are some amazing fight sequences. As I said, one of my favorites is inside of this Japanese museum or exhibit, and just how that is shot, and just some of the techniques that's in this film. It's just mind-blowing, because I think that, like, you see enough martial arts films, you start to think that certain sequences are going to end exactly the same way, or something you've seen before. And I feel like this film has done so many different and unique sort of techniques, and because choreography is sort of a dance, whether you're on the offensive side or the defensive side, I mean, we just saw so much just really unique positioning and tactics and techniques in this film that was just mind-blowing. It was really good. It really good. And this is in the middle of the film, and I started to think, like, well, what's going to top this? And again, this was before he even got a chance to fight Donnie Yen's character in Kane. Kane is badass, and I'm going to tell you right now why I do. You all know I love Scott Adkins. Donnie Yen is on a whole nother level. He comes in this film, he's easily the highlight of this film. Just his technique, his styling, his banter, just everything about Donnie Yen was A+ God tier, whatever you want to call it. Donnie Yen is the man. And Kane and John have a very unique relationship, but they scrap. Because that's what you want in this film, and I'm just going to tell you right now. Oh yeah, they get down. Exactly what I was looking forward to. But I also will say too, like, Shamier Anderson comes in as Mr. Nobody, as somebody I did not know who was cast in this film, and he gets in and really shakes things up as well with his companion, the dog, that gets in and gets down and dirty. They have some good moments. He's a sharpshooter, but also too, he throws down. I thought by the end of the film, I was thoroughly impressed by his choreography work as well. And then the Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins plays this enlarged human, shall I say, much like the Kingpin. And to see him fight in that style, like big boss battle type of style, oh, Scott is, you know, what can't Scott do at this point? And yeah, absolutely enjoyable. But anyway, with all of that, the film was brutal. It was brutal. There was moments that you just like, holy heck. And I think that, like, between like some of the kill shots, some of the insurance shots to make sure that the person was dead, all of it was just so good. And again, you know, the middle of the film has some of my favorite fight sequences. But listen, when they got to the third act, I think it's one of the best third acts I've ever seen in any film. It's really that good. Between this chase scene, between And just to give you exactly what I'm talking about here, between John trying to get to a church before sunrise, so there's this whole little block of time that he has to get there, but everybody's after him, and this takes him into Paris, all around Paris, and just from the steps, like everywhere. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's that good. It's really that good. And even with the, trying to keep the characteristics of the previous John Wick films, yeah, he has his corny one-liners, but they're the best yet. You did the yes, okay. He gives you all of that as well too. But yeah, the third act is one of the best yet strongest third acts I've seen in any films, especially within this genre, and without a doubt within any John Wick previous John Wick films. They got some explosive rounds kind of going on. I'm like, okay. The choreography, the cinematography, I forgot to even mention this. In the third act, they have this like overhead shot of him going from room to room to room. It reminds you of that overhead shot, like if you remember how Grand Theft Auto looked before it became like 3D. Like that overhead shot of him going from room to room to room, shooting around and whatnot. It was so dope. It was so dope. And Donnie Yen's character Kane is blind, and I think the choreography with him was amazing. And even while he is one of the most elite assassins, he is still blind. I also thought they played towards that very well, because while he was very much efficient, he did have his mistakes. There was times where he did kill people, but he also fired off extra shots that didn't land, and he's kind of like, wait, did I get him? But it all worked. It really worked. And I think that this film does a really good, all these films in John Wick does a really good job in trying to be as practical as it can when it comes down to gunfights or anything with ammunition or artillery. So, I expected as much in this situation. But anyway, talking about the ending of the film here, it's a good old Western shootout, and one of those fast draws type of things. I was definitely a little bit surprised by that, but how that was shot was also nice as well too. And then the biggest question is, will this be the last film, or will there be a lot more? And I have to say, either way, I'm happy, but like based on how good this film is, I will be kind of okay if we did get many more. But this film absolutely leaves you on a cliffhanger that I'm not happy about. And there is an after credit scene that does not do the cliffhanger any justice. So we are definitely left in a state of peril in terms of what is next for the character John Wick, what is next for the franchise in John Wick. Do we get more? It's a lot of questions, and honestly, they really left a lot of holes by the end of the film. There's definitely questions in terms of like, what about this character? What about this character? What does happen? To me, I'm guessing they setting up for the potential to do more, but maybe it all comes down to how much money they make. But I think this film was fantastic. I think it absolutely is worth making another one. I think I've seen high ratings and high praise already, and if that matters alone, I think they should go forward with it. But I guess it really does all come down to the money, and I think this is definitely a watch and a rewatch and a Blu-ray own. Like, it's that good. Like, listen, the cinematography, I'm just going to keep talking about it, from the neon colors, from this, I'm not even sure what you call it, but this sort of color grading that they use, especially when they were in Paris, was just, again, it captured your eyes the entire time. It was eye candy. It was almost like mesmerizing just how beautiful the film looked. And then you had the action. As I said, I believe this is the best action franchise of all time. Like, it's really that good, and it just continues to just elevate in every department. Even when you talk about the choreography, John had some moments where it was just some simple MMA ground and pound that he had never used in any of the previous film, but it's like, hey, he just pulling out new tools out of the toolbox here. And then you got Scott Adkins in it, you got Donnie Yen, you got so many good people, Asia Kate Dillon. There's so many good people in this film that just really brought it, that really made this film work. I love this film, and I think you will too. Folks, you got to check it out. This is John Wick Chapter 4. Jump in the comments, let me know your thoughts about it when you do. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.